If you've been following my channel for a bit, whether that be through my other Monster Hunter video essays or my streams, which, not to toot my own horn, they're pretty fun, you should stop them by, I stream every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, you'll know that I'm a fairly new fan of the series, joining nearly 2 years ago. Ever since then, I have completely fallen in love and have formed a hyperfixation like no other. But the truth is that I've had my eyes on the series much earlier than that, and the first monster that caught my eye was Magnamalo. I've had a lot of people ask me why I like Magnamalo so much, and honestly, it's because I really love cats. I mean, he's just the cutest little guy to me. Oh, he's so cute. But once I officially jumped into the game, my love for Magnamalo only grew.
Wait, is this my boy? It's my boy! Oh, he's so cute. Magnamalo! Buddy! Yeah! Go get her!
Come on. Hell yeah. Oh my god, I love him. Is that my boy already? Hi, Magnamalo. That ain't a baby? What do you mean? It's just the biggest baby ever. Is that Magnamalo's egg right there? Hold on. Okay. I must go immediately. Is it really my boy? The baby! Look at him! Look at little baby! Oh my gosh! Hello, baby! Yay! Oh my god, he's here!
So you can only imagine my shock once I learned that Magnamalo has a rather split reputation within the community. Every now and then, I see the same old discourse pop back up. Oh, Magnamalo is too over-designed, or Magnamalo is such a Mary Sue, he wins every fight, or sometimes it's just Magnamalo looks too fat. It's not my place to tell what opinions people have, and at the end of the day, we all like what we like. Nothing wrong with that. But I think this little guy deserves a break, so it's finally time for big old Dadapon to put her soldier helmet on and jump into the fray. Starting off, I want to express that my knowledge of Japanese history, culture, and folklore is extremely limited, and I tried my very best to double check all my research, but if there's something that I either got wrong or you'd like to add to, please feel free to let me know in the comments. But given that rice has a clear Japanese motif, it's no surprise that Magnamalo would follow suit, and quite literally in this case. Like how the other monsters were introduced in the base game and how they were inspired by specific yokai, Magnamalo is based off of the vengeful spirit of a fallen samurai that continues to roam the earth through its armor. Focusing on the samurai half of its design, Magnamalo's shape matches that of samurai armor with its bulky build. The horns on its head reflect a samurai's helmet, while the ridges on its arms and back act as the layers of armor plates. However, the specific influences on Magnamalo's design seems to stem from the Sengoku period, which was an extremely transformative era thanks to civil war for political control and the beginning of trade with foreign countries. In a sense, it's Japan's equivalent to the Wild West for how chaotic and brutal it was, which can be a connection to how vicious Magnamalo's own personality and hunting style is. But because of these connections to the Sengoku period, we can see references to this era being mixed into Magnamalo as well. Its round silhouette in particular seems to take reference to Tameshu Gusoku, armor designed to withstand the heavy artillery from muskets, which were newly introduced weapons from European trade. These guns were quickly integrated into samurai weaponry, which can be seen through Magnamalo's Hellblight and how it launches it from its tail like a gun, especially with how much punch each blast has like a real musket. Other standard issue weapons can be seen within Magnamalo's arsenal too, such as the katana through the blades on its arms and the yari through its tail. More specifically, Magnamalo's tail when flared out resembles a Jumonji yari, a spear commonly used in the Sengoku period. Thanks to the design of the blade, it can be handled in either a thrusting or slicing motion, which both are showcased in Magnamalo's moveset. However, Magnamalo could also draw inspiration from a very specific samurai, that being Takeda Shingen. One of the most famous and powerful military leaders during the Sengoku period, the main giveaway to this connection is how Shingen is known as the Tiger of Kai, the very animal Magnamalo is based on. Tigers are rather symbolic in Japanese culture, especially when it comes to the samurai, as they stand for courage, strength, and ferocity. Another creature that is just as important, though, is the dragon. Originally stemming from Chinese Buddhism, the tiger and dragon are described as parallels. Yin and yang, their powers are exact equals to each other and are often used to symbolize rivalries in Japanese media. Rise is no different in this regard, as Magnamalo's dragon counterpart is Malzeno. You might be wondering why I'm bringing up Malzeno in a video focused on Magnamalo. Am I really that Malzeno-pilled? And to that, I say yes. But the main reason behind this is because Magnamalo and Malzeno were meticulously crafted to be each other's perfect counterpart, giving us more insight on why Magnamalo looks the way it does. In an official interview with Ai Hua-shin, the designer behind Sunbreak's Monsters, Magnamalo and Malzeno are opposites in every sense. Eastern versus Western, Samurai versus Knight, and Brawn versus Brain. As explained in my Malzeno video, its design expresses a sense of elegance and sophistication. While Magnamalo is a hulking brute with its attacks, slamming and slashing at you at any given moment, Malzeno strikes with efficiency and pinpoint accuracy. It's sickly thin and its outline is sharp with jagged points, but Magnamalo has a rounder and more muscular frame, carrying itself with immense heft and power. But despite all of these differences, the two are equally matched, as shown in their turf wars, which always result in a tie. Even with Magnamalo's possible inspiration with Takeda Shingen, his biggest and most famed rival was Uesugi Kenshin, fittingly nicknamed the Dragon of Echigo. So I think it's beautiful that Rise is able to pay homage to the symbol of the tiger and dragon through the two flagships of the game, with each reference being so meaningful and creative. But it's also able to explore both the human side of Magnamalo through its samurai theme, while maintaining the image of it being an animalistic monster through its tiger side. However, one final portion of Magnamalo's design that remains is its yokai motif. As mentioned earlier, Magnamalo is the vengeful spirit that continues to roam through a samurai's suit of armor. This is another popular trope in Japanese media, and while each iteration can vary between each other, the one thing that remains consistent is the spirit's violence and hatred for the living, another reference that reflects Magnamalo's vicious and brutal style. Alongside this is its hellfire, which is based off of onibi. In Japanese folklore, onibi are spirits born from deceased humans and animals, or intense grudges. They take the shape of floating orbs of fire and tend to lurk within dark forests, where they lead travelers towards their light and drain them of their life force until all that's left is a lifeless husk. This exact description is showcased in Magnamalo's introduction, where it uses its hellfire to catch the attention of a Tobi Kadachi before mercilessly striking it down.
A grudge towards all life, given form in flame. Stalks unsuspecting creatures. That it seeks to maim. Its prey turns round to face it, preferring a hero's death. Knowing that this purple fire will steal its final breath. Pray for its soul. For this creature of pure evil shall swallow the world whole.
One fun detail about the Hellblight effect is that, if you're under its effect or wearing the Magnamalo armor, you can hear this eerie, ghostly sound effect. The specific sound effect is often associated with onibi, which you can hear in other forms of media. Another neat thing to note is that, going back to Magnamalo's parallels with Malzeno through their tiger versus dragon symbolism, they are also able to represent yin and yang directly through themselves, just like the creatures they take after. Being the yin, Magnamalo's design is mostly dark with its deep purple scales, but its hellfire burns through the darkness. Meanwhile, Malzeno's design is much brighter in comparison with its silvery scales, but its Curioblasts are the opposite, as they are dark and shadow-like. So Magnamalo's yokai motifs are able to connect perfectly with its tiger side, just as much as its samurai motifs do to fully piece its design together like a perfect puzzle. But Scorned Magnamalo takes all of these aspects and pushes them to the max. For starters, we get a classic samurai movie scene in its introduction, where it has a standoff against a Zenogre before slicing it down with one clean strike, with Zenogre's final burst of electricity acting as that fountain of blood you always see at the end. It really doesn't get more samurai than that. But instead of a samurai, Scorned Magnamalo now presents itself as a ronin, a disgraced samurai who roams the land with no home to return to. This is usually due to the death of their master, and instead of committing seppuku, they abandon their code of honor to live a life of shame. The way Scorned reflects this is through its broken horn, which has caused it to be treated as an outcast by other Magnamalo due to its inability to attract a mate. This, alongside its missing eye on the same side, is evidence of a near-death battle, especially with the spikes on its back looking like scruffed-up fur, similar to an old alley cat that's seen its fair share of fights. Its arm blades now have serrated edges and glowing blood-red veins running along its body, really accentuating its evolved, feral, and brutal tendencies. All of this together tells us that Scorned is no longer going for a clean kill, but instead wants to drag every living creature it lays eyes on down with it to hell. Compared to base Magnamalo, Scorned's moveset is explosive and destructive. Each attack is an earth-shattering slam filled with fury, and you can tell even within seconds that Scorned absolutely wants to eviscerate you. Its Hellfire now has a more magenta hue, before it completely turns into a dark scarlet for its ultimate move, taking all of its hatred and rage and transforming it into a deadly inferno. As for real-life references, Scorned Magnamalo could take inspiration from Date Masamune, a legendary warrior known as the One-Eyed Dragon of Oshu. Masamune's missing eye is one clue towards Scorned's connection to him, but the dragon theme is also quite fitting, as Scorned gains the ability to inflict dragon blight during its enraged state. Additionally, Masamune's helmet is renowned for its unique asymmetrical design that parallels Scorned's own horns. And if you look real close, Scorned Magnamalo has a little mustache right under its lips. This, alongside Scorned's palico armor, also mirrors the design of Masamune's mask he wore into battle. But despite the hardships he faced during his early life and the loss of his vision, Masamune's hot-blooded and aggressive personality blazed through the battlefield and earned him a fearsome reputation, much like Scorned Magnamalo. Until its final breath, it will do everything in its power to engulf the world in its flames, and, as the saying goes, never pick a fight with a man who has nothing left to lose. For something so vengeful and full of spite, Magnamalo's theme is perfect for it. It starts with a few notes of a biwa, a Japanese lute. The biwa was the chosen instrument used for musical storytelling by traveling performers known as biwahoshi, in which they would sing retellings of war events. This is fitting for Magnamalo, as it's a fabled and greatly feared monster amongst Kamana village for almost bringing it to ruin 50 years prior to Rise's story. The low notes played by the biwa immediately set a grim and intense mood for the battle, almost replicating a samurai showdown just through its music. It is able to capture that feeling of locking eyes with an opponent on the battlefield and slowly circling each other to strike with an opening move. This is soon followed by another Japanese instrument, the shakuhachi. The shakuhachi is a flute that would regain traction during the Sengoku period after previously dying out, once again adding to Magnamalo's references of that specific era. The revival was thanks to the komuso, who were wandering priests that were formerly samurai or ronin, connecting to both base and Scorned Magnamalo. The shakuhachi adds on to the intensity set by the biwa, almost acting like the howling wind during the standoff. Then, within a blink of an eye, the battle launches off once the rest of the orchestra comes roaring in. It's explosive like Magnamalo's Hellfire, and it's able to replicate its hunting style. Like what was shown during its introduction and how it pounced on the Tobikadachi and defeats it in one fell swoop, you get that same motion with the steep crescendo of the brass, instruments that usually symbolize strength and power, before it comes crashing down. What then takes over is a growing choir, the voices low and almost hellish. It gives an underworld feeling to the track, fitting for Magnamalo's infernal design. It's also symbolic for its Hellfire, as the choir taking over at the end of the beginning section is able to illustrate how its Hellfire is all-consuming. This can be shown in a literal sense with how Magnamalo sets fire to the battlefield with its Hellfire and uses its prey to continue fueling its flames, or how it seems to possess those who come into contact with it, as shown in the descriptions of Magnamalo's armor set. Given that Magnamalo leads its prey before striking it down in the shadows, most of its hunts usually end there. But should its prey continue to stand afterwards, that's where the rest of the song continues. What's interesting about Barbarous Beast is that it isn't a super bombastic theme, like how some are for other monsters such as Zinogre or Astalos. There are moments throughout the song where the brass comes raging back, but it focuses on the Japanese instruments for the most part, giving it a historical sound. It ties in with Rise's overall theme of Japanese folklore and yokai perfectly, but in this case, it also gives a haunting energy to the track. Despite Magnamalo's burning malice, its theme is cold and venomous. It's dripping with hate, but it will take its time to watch your every move, so when you finally slip up, it'll rend you into pieces. Each note sounds dangerous, and the way they alternate between the shakuhachi and the choir shows that you are fighting both the ferocity of a relentless samurai and their bloodthirsty ghost that continues to fight beyond death. Eventually, the vocals build up to yet another burst of the brass, much like a hellfire explosion. What follows is the instrumentation slowly leading its way to the chorus. In this section, each instrument is playing alongside each other, but you can distinctly hear them playing independently on its own. The strings take the main melody, but it's now the biwa and shakuhachi taking turns with each other. The almost shivering sounding notes of the biwa are reminiscent of how Magnamalo whips and shakes its tail after using it to strike, and the long, drawn-out notes of the shakuhachi are similar to the distinct strikes Magnamalo uses with its claws and arm blades. Together, it creates a musical image of Magnamalo using all of its weapons in his arsenal to attack, switching between them like a master of arms. This, combined with the pounding of the drums to set a warlike scenery, and the brass returning once more to act as an ignition, sets off the chorus. Where we once heard the instruments take turns with each other, we now hear them play in perfect harmony, further symbolizing Magnamalo's onslaught of attacks that blend into each other. What comes next is the ascension of both the strings and the brass, the notes sounding as if they're taking flight. It mirrors the way Magnamalo utilizes its hellblight to lift itself up and trap you in the middle of its inferno, with the brass's repetition of the strings' melody symbolizing the explosives preparing to set off. Then, the rush of percussion is Magnamalo finally crashing down on you like a meteor, with each note fading away like ash and cinder. In the end, as the hellish choir takes over one final time, so do Magnamalo's infernal flames to consume all in its path. Some may think that Magnamalo is over-designed, but isn't that the magic of Monster Hunter? To take all of these inspirations and merge them into a single creature that breathes them into life. Especially in Magnamalo's case, it's clear that it's a love letter to Japanese culture and history. There were so many things I didn't know about Magnamalo until I began my research for this video, but has only made me love the little guy even more. And I hope it was able to do the same for you, even if it's just a little. But regardless of the outcome, I want to thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, it'd be a great help if you could leave a like. If you're on mobile and watching during the first week of the video being uploaded, it would also be a helpful boost if you could hype the video too. I also want to give a special thanks to the members of the channel. You all have been very patient for this video, so thank you so much for sticking with me throughout it all. And finally, the last group of people I'd like to thank are the viewers who joined me during my Magnamalo hunts and let me use them as bait to get some footage. Couldn't have done it without you.
Okay. Well, I got it, that's all that matters.
The next video will be a deep dive on Arc Tempered Arc Belt and its theme, so I hope you all look forward to that. But until then, take care, and here's to Ascendance being announced.